Matthew.
Christian here. What's going on, everyone?
Hope you guys like the new stashes.
Check it out. Wow.
For Movember. Support the boys. This is Racing Through Life, a podcast hosted by OpenRace. OpenRace is a real-time virtual running app looking to connect and motivate runners, as well as help event organizers increase revenue, reach a larger audience, and provide a more interactive virtual race. And we're hosting Racing Through Life just to kind of dive into a runner's life a little further.
Yeah, we're trying to basically brand ourselves more than just like an application running app. We want to kind of brand, through different platforms, and podcasts. Such a great opportunity to really dive into the running industry, something that we didn't feel was getting talked enough about, just the athletes, event organizers. And today we have an extremely great athlete, Jessica Hall. She's a 4-time Australian record holder for the 1,500 meter indoor and outdoor 3K and 5K. And she is going to be participating in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics in the 5K, potentially even the 1,500. So got a great episode here. Let's welcome Jessica. What's going on?
Yeah, I feel like it's easier to talk when
Cool.
we see each other.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries.
Nice clock. That's a massive clock behind you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm at my parents' house in Australia.
Nice.
Mum's pride.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I'm Matthew.
I'm Christian.
Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Basically what kind of Racing Through Life is, to give you a quick, brief little overview, is we kind of want to dig into a runner's life, both on and off the track. We feel like not a lot of people are kind of diving into that world. And we're really excited to kind of go through your whole life journey and where you, how you kind of got to where you are today.
Okay, no worries. Sounds good.
Well, how's Australia so far? Is COVID ruining anything?
Yeah.
Are you guys going into your summer now? Is that how it works?
Yeah. So we're heading into summer. November's like the last month of our spring. So 1st of December will be summer for us. But yeah, COVID isn't too bad here. It's pretty under control. Most of our cases are coming from returning travelers. So anyone coming home. But the whole process to that is you go into hotel quarantine for 14 days. So if they're testing positive, they're already in quarantine. So community transmission is very low here, which is nice. It means most of our day-to-day life is pretty normal, just a little bit of restriction on the size of gatherings that are allowed. So at the moment, I think it's about 30 people can be together at one time. But no more than that. And if you're going out to a restaurant, you can only book for, I think it's been up to 20. But until about a week or so ago, it was still, you could only have like parties of 10 book in at a restaurant. So yeah, we're easing out of it slowly. But in terms compared to the rest of the world, I think we're doing pretty well down here.
Yeah, not like us. We're kind of in the opposite right now, kind of because we're in Toronto, Canada. So for us, it's like, it's getting worse. Gyms are back to close. So the gyms, that hurts us a lot. So we're just doing a little bit of running, that sort of thing. But restaurants, how many people? Like
6? No, indoors is closed now, right?
Yeah, indoors is closed now. So everything's kind of like, for us, it's back to square one from when it started out in March. So the summer was like okay, but now it's kind of back to the winter. Now it's getting colder. So I think
we're going into our winter.
Now it's the flu season for people. So now people, once they start getting sick, it's like, that's the double scare. Is like, am I sick with like the flu or do I have like COVID? So now it's kind of, I guess, the scarier times for us. But honestly, we've been good. We've been, social distancing, stuff like that. So it's been fun.
Yeah, that's what they've been saying here is because we haven't had much community contact because everything has been restricted. If anyone has flu symptoms, they want them to get tested because they're like, you probably have COVID because the flu is not rampant in our communities right now. But hopefully going into summer, our second wave is done. But sounds like you guys are just getting started with that part of it, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. And we're going into the winter, which I'm kind of jealous of you going into the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been pretty good. I haven't really had a winter for nearly 2 years now. I've kind of followed the sun, so I've been lucky on that part. I don't know what I'll do when I actually spend a winter in Portland. It'll be a bit of a shock to the system.
That's funny. What do you do for kind of fun when you go back to like Australia? Do you continue training or?
Yeah, just keep training. So pretty normal routine, which means if you're doing recovery and stuff, right, there's not a lot of time to do much else. But just having been back here this year, it's been really nice to just spend time with family because I was away for most of the time. While I was at the University of Oregon, I hadn't been home much. So now just getting the chance to be at home, it's nice to just be at home, and just sort of whatever that entails is sometimes just sitting down and having dinner with mum and dad is really nice compared to when you're away and just going with the flow with training and everything. You don't realize how much you miss it until you get home and get the chance to do those things.
Yeah, I agree. It's always good coming back home from school, like for us, and having a nice home cooked meal. That's usually my favorite part of coming back home, is having a nice cooked meal by mom. That's my favorite part.
Yeah. How
And
far
for
away
you,
is school for you guys? Is it
Not far at
no,
all.
like an hour drive. We're like still local, basically. We didn't travel continents. So
because we're like just outside of the city, most of the schools, like universities around here anyway, are like
close.
within, like, I think the farthest is probably like 5 hours in like Ottawa. 4 hours.
Okay.
But yeah, then some people like go to like Vancouver.
Yeah, like out west or out east.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been to UBC before. That was our holding camp in 2014 before we went to World Juniors, was on that campus. It was so beautiful. I loved it. I haven't been back to Canada since, but yeah, British Columbia.
What time of the year did you come at? Winter or summer? Probably summer.
It would have been in the end of June, start of July, so it was perfect.
Yeah, it's probably. I've never been out west.
Yeah, me neither.
Homeboys haven't even been.
Yeah, not yet. Anyway.
Yeah,
not yet.
I want to visit Australia.
Yeah,
Australia. I've heard such good things about Australia, so I really want to go.
Yeah, definitely. It's worth the flight. But if you come, you've got to stay for a while. Make it really worthwhile. So yeah,
sure.
Definitely one day. Keep it high on the list.
That is high on my list. And just getting into like kind of like you like sort of growing up, you said in the email you grew up in Albion Park, the south coast of New South Wales, Australia. How was growing up for you? How did you really get into running?
Yeah, it's pretty laid back here, I guess, compared to the American high school scene. I'm not too sure the Canadian high school scene. You guys can probably fill in the blanks. But it's pretty chill. In grade 2, it becomes compulsory for you to do your school cross country carnival. So nice. I just did that and really enjoyed it and made it to the zone carnival. And from there I just kind of got more and more into it. I joined Little Athletics, which is kind of our everything's outside of school here. We don't really have much of a school-based system. So I joined Little Athletics in October, and that was my first sort of go on the track. And you just did a 700-meter pack start race. Then there was no like super structured 800 starting lanes or anything. Too young for that. I just loved it. It was at that point it was just fun to kind of race the boys because you're the same sort of matchup at that age until they kind of get their strength at 13, 14. But it was just fun and pretty low key. And I was lucky that my dad had been pretty involved in track and field when he was growing up, so he kind of knew how to approach it with me, so that I kept enjoying it. But that if I wanted to train, we could train. So it went from there.
So was your dad like your coach? Was he your coach basically growing up, always like pushing you and giving you workouts and stuff like that?
So I started with when he realized I was interested in running, he kind of introduced me to his old coach, John Hodgkiss, and he is a sprint hurdle coach nowadays, but was more of a long distance specialty when Dad was growing up. So I would go down to his sessions twice a week, and they were really low key. Now that I look back, I'm like, we were just having fun running around the oval basically. But we do like a lot of I do some hurdle training. I did like the hurdles for a while there when I was little, but once they started getting higher, I was like, this is not for me. But he was pretty cool at just making sure we had fun. He basically just taught me how to warm up and do some start practices and all those kinds of things. We would do like really low key drills. So we would have you guys seen surf club races like on the sand at the beach?
No.
So surf club starts are like they'll lay down flat on their stomach and then they have to turn around and run the like 30-40 meters, whatever the distance is. So we even did things like that just like for fun and as a way to mix it up for us. And it was only maybe an hour or so twice a week. And then once I got into it a bit more and I wanted to like sort of train for distance, Dad took over when I was about 11 or 12. And it was more to like, it could, if it rained here, with duty of care, and I'm sure it's the same in younger age groups over there, as soon as it rains, you kind of have to cancel training because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, so there was becoming a lot of situations where, because we had a group of young kids, like, and we had a really rainy winter one year, it was like we never were able to go to training. And I was like, oh, I really want to train. So yeah, once we kind of figured out that if it was Dad and I, we can just wait an hour or something until it's not raining and go. And yeah, we just kind of started working together more and more from there, and got a bit more structured once I got to about 13 or 14.
Wow, nice. That's great. So you did start, your dad started to be like more of your coach towards the later years.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
and
how
then he
was
did. Yeah, he did it for all of high school. Yeah.
And growing up, was it just like focused on running, or did you get into other sports, or was it just mainly focused on track?
I had played soccer as well.
Nice.
I played in a girls' team for soccer, so we played every Sunday, trained a couple of times a week, which was fun. Definitely different to sort of see like the team dynamics.
Yeah.
Compared to like when you're just running, it's like not ambiguous at all. It's just what you do basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. I played for 2 or 3 seasons, and then kind of there decided to. I was just like, I wasn't growing at the same rate as some of the other girls were.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a bit smaller, and it started to become a bit like, oh gosh, like when you're challenging for the ball against girls that might already be women and you're still a girl, it was getting a bit dangerous. So we kind of made the call there. It's like, well, if you want to run properly, probably need to avoid injury risk that is associated with soccer right now.
Yeah.
And then growing up kind of into like more so high school, that's when you were fully focused on your training and running. Talk to me about how does like high school meets and stuff work in Australia? Because it's seasonally different than ours. So ours would just be in the summer, spring, which is like our May, June. So how did that work? How was that rotation for you guys?
Yeah, so for us it was pretty much October to March is our track season.
Okay.
So I think that's possibly why it doesn't line up too much with the school year, because our school year is January to December. So if you want to run track and field competitively, you kind of run it for a senior club outside of school.
Oh, okay.
And that season starts in October and runs through March. And then you'll pick up cross country around our carnivals probably start in May for cross country, and the nationals is in August. So that's kind of the 2 seasons that you have, because we don't have indoor track at all. So you have 6 months of outdoor track, a little bit of a break, and then a couple of months of cross country, and then you just get ready for outdoor track again.
Which one do you like better, outdoor or indoor?
I love outdoor. I think definitely outdoor is my favorite, but indoor is really fun. Like I really enjoy just a couple of indoor races a season, because it's just like, it's so different. It feels so different, even though it's the exact same distance, but being on 200 bank track, it's just like a novelty.
Yeah, that's true. And then kind of at what point, or I guess at what age did you kind of know like you were like really good, like good to the point where like you could see yourself making a career out of running?
I don't know that I've seen it as a career until maybe 16 or 17.
Okay.
I knew, like, when I was little, I definitely wanted to go to like the Olympics and stuff, but it wasn't probably until you get like a taste of like some junior national titles and stuff like that you start to think, oh, like, I'm just going to run forever now. Like, this is what I want to do. Yeah, so probably 16 or 17, I started to sort of see like, oh, it'd be really cool to be a professional athlete one day, but definitely doesn't just happen overnight. There's a lot that goes into the in-between to even make that a possibility.
Love it.
Yeah. And how did the, I guess, scouting process work since you're all the way from Australia? How did you like get in touch with the University of Oregon? Or I guess how did they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I think I was recruited pretty similarly to how American kids are, just like a lot of emails or Facebook messages and those kinds of things, just with coaches expressing their interest. And then I didn't really pay much attention to it too seriously for high school, because I was like, oh, it's so far away. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to live that far away, leave all my family, leave all my friends. But yeah, kind of once I graduated high school and I did a little bit of university here for the first 6 months because of just the way the school year lined up. And then when uni here wasn't super compatible with running, I'd been to China for World Cross Country very early on in the semester, and the professor didn't really understand that I was going to China to race. I wasn't going just to hang out for the weekend, and it kind of made it hard to balance the workload with trying to run at like a higher level. That kind of opened my eyes a bit more to, okay, maybe I need to have a better look at what the US has to offer. And then because I popped up pretty late in the game, I was just lucky that the University of Oregon had a scholarship left for the coming fall. So I was able to go in. I visited in the June right before NCAAs, and then kind of was like, yep, I'm going to come here. And I went back in the end of September to start cross country season with them.
Awesome.
Good choice.
Congratulations.
Timing just worked out really well.
Good choice too. That's awesome.
Thanks.
So how was that transition like going, like moving cross world, I guess?
Yeah. The moving part was not too bad considering like mum came with me, so she helped me get set up over there, and it made her feel a bit better knowing that I was set up and ready to live. But definitely the competition side was very different. I wasn't used to being in races where you were kind of like the cross country season. There's 200, 250 women and they're all good. I wasn't used to that at all. I definitely wasn't used to running in the 50s or the 60s in the races, and like even further back sometimes. I wasn't used to being in a pack with that many people. So coming from Australia, we'd only really, you duked it out kind of at the front with one or two more people. You never really ran in a pack like that. So that took a lot of adjusting and kind of learning that sometimes even if you're coming 60th, you need to fight for every single place because it all counts for your team. That was something we just hadn't had back here. So it took a bit to adjust to. And then even I guess that kind of goes over to a training element too, like having people to train with was so nice. It was very different because when I was back here, it was just Dad and I, and he would jump in and do as much as he could with me. But having like a group and a team that was specifically there to be like training together was pretty special. So that was great to get used to. And I think just getting used to the whole having a team of people for everything that you do, basically, like you go to classes together, you study together, and you train together. Like that was just kind of, once I found my rhythm over there, I was like, oh, I really like this lifestyle of like, we'll go to training and then we'll go to a coffee shop and study for a few hours and drink some coffee, and then we'll go to class, and then we'll do it the same thing again tomorrow. So yeah, I really, once I found the routine, I really liked it, but it took me probably the first year to really get used to it and figure out like how to make everything balance over there.
Wow, that is a lot. I guess I have a two-part question. First thing, was it mentally, I guess, coming from Australia, like your whole life dominating in the running scene, like you said, you were usually at the top of the races, and then coming over, I guess your very first, I guess, NCAA meet, I guess like mentally, like I would have been so like thrown off. I would have been like, whoa, like this is a lot, you know what I mean? Especially like more people in the race, and then having more people ahead of you. How was that meant? Like, was that the hardest part, or was it more so just adjusting to like the work school balance?
Definitely probably the adjusting to the track and the cross country races with being in a crowd. That was probably the hardest thing to figure out, because especially with cross country, you just cannot tell where you are. Like 20th looks like 100th looks like, it's just learning to kind of just like block that part out and just run and try, and if you can get two people in the last 100 meters, like get them, that kind of thing. And like learning to prioritize. Doesn't matter what the actual end number is, it's more about how low can you go for your team. That was probably the hardest thing, because I really bought into the team culture, but definitely the hardest thing to fix mentally, of like visualizing, okay, I'm in 100th right now, but it doesn't matter, I just have to keep running. Whereas like here, there's probably never a race where there was 100 girls in it, so it was different to kind of get used to visualizing that. But I was lucky the first year there, not lucky I guess, but I didn't run at NCAAs in cross indoor or outdoor. So
Okay.
by the time I got to cross nationals my sophomore year, I had been around my teammates enough to kind of have absorbed as much information as I could going into that meet, and was able to run decently well. I didn't score for our team, but I could see the improvement individually at that point in time of
Awesome.
okay, I'm getting better at not being like, okay, I'm way back in the trenches here, I'm not doing anything for my team. And I was doing a lot better at kind of staying in the races.
Awesome.
That's
Cool.
great. Yeah. So you mentioned a lot about like your team and like how I guess they were like very welcoming and you guys did everything together and you like bought into that team culture. Can you like, I guess, dive more into that like team culture and like the friends that you made and everything at like University of Oregon and how they really welcomed you?
Yeah, I think we were pretty lucky. Our coach at the time, Marisa, she was really good at building that team culture amongst the women. She knew that if we wanted to run for each other, we were going to run better than if we just were out there for ourselves. So she was really good at kind of fostering that team environment. And we would do at the start of every cross country season, start of each year, I guess, we would sit down and do like a team bonding kind of exercise of like what we wanted to focus on that year and come up with a few like keywords and stuff that we could throw around that would kind of enable us all to kind of buy back into that team culture when it got really hard.
Yeah.
So I think she did a great job at kind of building that atmosphere, and then the teammates, like we just ran with it. Like we kind of we probably didn't need as much encouragement to get the team camaraderie going, but it was really good to kind of do it in a structured way, because then it felt like if it ever kind of lagged at all through the school year, we could sit down and go back to what we talked about way at the start and be like reminded, and it would kind of just drive it home and be like, okay, we're this is why we're doing it, not for this or whatever we kind of digress off track for. So yeah, I think she did a great job, and it just showed, and they were people that you wanted to be around too. Like it's pretty easy to get along with people who are just like so welcoming and want the best for you and want the best for each other. So yeah, it was a very good environment. I actually you interviewed Sabrina last time. I lived with my senior year. My junior year. I lived with Sabrina for a year. She first came across to Oregon, we lived together in an apartment with two other girls as well. That's pretty cool.
I would not have known that. How that's sick.
Yeah. So I guess, that's just how intertwined things are, is you just spend pretty much every waking hour with teammates of some kind.
Wow. I didn't even put that together. Now I'm thinking back. Yeah, that was definitely a chance. Wow, that's sick. So then what's your favorite? Yeah. So then you lived, I'm assuming, all 4 years with your teammates then.
Yeah. So I lived with one teammate my freshman year, and then I moved into a 4-bedroom apartment, and so I had 3 other roommates for the rest of the time.
Yeah. That probably makes it easier for like training and that makes it easier for training and kind of like school, because you guys like train together, so you're probably balancing. Okay, we're gonna like work out from this time to this time, eat here, and then we're just gonna study the rest of the night. That's probably every day.
Yeah, it's definitely easier when you live with people who are doing the same thing, that's for sure. And on the same routine, same travel schedule, everything as you. It makes it a bit easier to balance school and training. Yeah.
And what was the best?
Fun.
Yeah. And what was the best part? Yeah. If you could pick one thing off the top of your head, what was your favorite part about Oregon? And then what was like your least favorite part about Oregon? Like something you're just like, I could have lived without.
Whole city.
Anything. It could be anything.
Yeah, probably. So my favorite part would just be the team, like the whole team itself, whether like including sprints, jumps, throws, everything. It was just a really cool environment to be in. And then probably my least favorite thing would be the rain. It just sometimes, you know what it's like when you got to get out the door in the morning and it's raining, you just really don't want to do it. So yeah, probably the rain. But after a year or so, you're kind of used to it and you just learn to live with it. But it was definitely a shock coming over there, and they had told me it rains a lot, but I didn't quite realize how much until I was there myself.
How often does it rain?
Yeah, Portland's like Vancouver weather, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, so it rains a lot, like a lot.
Yeah, all like the late fall, pretty much all winter. Yeah, it's.
But it doesn't get that cold, right? It's like. Above, it's probably like 10 degrees Celsius.
Oh, I hate that though. I hate rain. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves is rain.
It's just when you go out on every run, you're not dry. I don't like that. When you come back, it's like, oh, it's like such been, you might have only run for 30 minutes, but you are drenched or something like that. It's not as enjoyable.
Yeah.
Ew, that's my number one. I hate wet. Yeah, I could not do that. I couldn't do that, man.
I hate rain too. We're getting into like the well, we already guessed.
No, we
it's
passed
just dark.
fall.
I hate the dark weather.
Yeah.
And it's getting a lot more darker now.
And cold.
Yeah.
It's freezing. Like we just skipped fall. We just goes right to winter here, and now it is freezing.
How was the coffee shops in Oregon?
They were good. Yeah, really good. There's actually quite a few of them around. Now, after my first year there was like a lot of renovations on campus, and we had this like kind of big building in the middle of campus that became our spot. But off campus, within like a mile kind of thing, there was plenty of little coffee shops that you could go to, and it was kind of just common. Like they were all full of students, normal students, student athletes, just doing the same sort of regular routine on the weekend. So I think they enjoyed it. They get good business out of the uni students being close by, and sometimes it's really nice to get off campus, because we all lived kind of on the edge of campus. So to venture a little bit further was a bit of a nice change of scenery sometimes.
What did you end up studying at Oregon?
I was a human physiology major, and then I also added psychology towards the second half when I was like unsure if I wanted to stretch my degree out over 4 or 5 years. I picked that up, and I did a business administration minor. So I kept pretty busy, but I liked it because I would come home in the summers and come home to Australia, but I would still kind of take online classes because everyone back here was like working or going to school as well, because it's different timetabling. So I like kind of did that to keep myself busy while everyone else is also having their normal life back in Australia when I was on summer break, but it wasn't summer here.
What do you like to do like on an off day? Something outside of, because I know your life's probably so busy with, training and making sure you're eating right and stuff. So like on an off day, what's a typical off day look like?
A typical off day would be, probably like my favorite kind of way to spend an off day would be going out for like breakfast or brunch.
Nice.
Probably brunch, not early enough for breakfast.
Good choice.
And then brunch and some shopping, or like going out and exploring a little bit. Like there's a few last end of season break I was able to see a little bit more around here, but this year it's been a bit more rainy, and then with restrictions you kind of got to think twice about things. But I kind of like being outside as much as possible, and then shopping and brunch. That's probably the best way to spend an off day.
Nice. And what's like your favorite
go-to
vacation? I guess I'd say.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's good.
Not like just one day, like if like you can spend a weekend somewhere, like go to a different city or town nearby.
Yeah. I think we're pretty lucky that we get to travel so much for our jobs now.
Yeah.
But at the moment, if I was to spend the weekend anywhere, my brother just moved up north about 3 or 4 hours, and I actually went out that way last year at my end of season break with my fiance for a couple of days. So I think if I was going to go again, I would probably head that way, because I could also visit my brother at the same time. It's the Newcastle Hunter region in New South Wales.
Nice. How many beaches have you been to in Australia? I heard there's like 1,000 plus.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I live kind of close to the coast. I do a lot of my running along the coast because there's a great bike path that just goes for miles. And you can get on the grass edge next to it. So I would say close to me, there's like at least 5 or 6 main beaches that I can park at and run from any of them in any direction. But there's probably more in between that are like, if you wanted to kind of explore like the smaller ones, you can go to them too. So I've definitely been to a lot of beaches in my time so far.
Lucky. That's like, we have basically like just like 3 months of like, I think like beach weather, like solid.
2 solid beach weather.
I'd say 3. You can get June, July, August.
Okay. June,
3 solids. That's definitely one of the reasons why I want to go to Australia, is because like I want to live like when I'm older, like I want to live somewhere where I don't have to worry about how cold it's going to be in the morning. That's like my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
you
it's a
do
lot
you
harder
plan on
to
living
get up.
do you plan on living in Australia kind of like the rest of like, your life, like after training and stuff like that? Is that some place you always want to stay?
Yeah, I'm not too sure yet. I go back and forth. Like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be really nice to live back at home. But
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of opportunities in the US for the next little while.
Yep.
So I think I'll plan to stay based there for a little bit and then
Mhm.
just sort of see where things take me.
Love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Either way, I don't think it's a bad decision. So yeah, I think
Not
either
at
way I
all.
can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you graduated right from University of Oregon.
Yeah, last year, 2019. Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
how's your like competition season going now? So you're a professional runner with Nike,
Mhm.
Yeah.
training there in Portland. I guess how did that come to be? I know a lot of the University of Oregon runners go into that program. So how is
Yeah.
that, and like how's your professional career going so far?
Yeah, it's going pretty well so far. We were able to make a European season happen this year.
Mhm.
So we started in Monaco at the middle of August.
Nice.
And I ran a 5K there, and then we went on to Sweden and I did 2 1500s.
Nice.
And then down to Berlin for another 1500 and Doha for a 3K. So we were able to have like a pretty normal season, just with all the like precautions.
Yeah.
But the difference was like I had to train here this year instead of being like with teammates for the first time since like 2015 kind of thing was the first time
Yeah.
I'd really done much training kind of solo. Yeah, so that was very different. And then same with my Portland teammates. So they weren't for a long time there. They weren't able to meet for practice, and they were just sort of doing everything on their own as well. So just I think didn't matter where you were this year, you had to adjust training. Yeah, but it's been a good transition, I would think, and I'm lucky. My coach is pretty awesome. He just makes sure that I have the big picture goal in mind and doesn't rush me to do anything too soon, and keeps the injuries at bay. That way we're not getting too aggressive and reaching too high yet. But we were able to put together a pretty successful season and hopefully build into the Olympics round two even better from having had that.
I was just about to ask, what was your kind of, I guess, initial reaction once they announced the Olympics was postponed to next year?
Yeah, I think by the time they announced it, it was like kind of, I think we all kind of knew
No.
that it was going to happen. Like, it was just like it had been, so much was going on. It was just like, there's no way this can go ahead. So I think once we knew that it wasn't going to go ahead, it was kind of like okay, we can accept it and we can reset the focus. And then once they gave the dates for next year, it was kind of like, okay, it's going to happen. It's not canceled. It's just postponed. So I think that was probably more the scary thing was like, it's not going to be like, please don't cancel it. Just postpone it.
Yeah. 100%.
It would have been pretty sad to miss that one and have to wait until 2024 to kind of be an Olympian when you've kind of been building around that for a couple of years now. It would have been pretty sad to have to wait an extra 4 years. So yeah, I'm glad it was just postponed, and then we just kind of accepted it and got back into training as well as we could with that races on the calendar. And then around April, it started to look like, okay, things will open up and we'll be able to have a season later on. So we're just going to put as much work in as we can to get ready for that. And then about 9 weeks or so, 6 to 9 weeks out from Monaco, we knew we were going to be able to go. So that kind of brought some more life back into training and made it like more purposeful. Or like, okay, there's a reason why we're doing this still. We're not just holding on to like a blind hope. We were actually able to go and race.
I think you just answered it, but I was about to say, what was, I guess, once the whole pandemic thing kind of came and you went to transitioning to training on your own, like solo, what was the biggest, I guess the hardest part about going from, because you love your teammates, your coaches, you said that the people around you is the reason why you love running. So how was that whole transition going back to running kind of, I guess, like on your own?
Yeah, it was very different at first.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely, especially like Pete and I decided to focus on more of the endurance side of things and really build my base. So I was doing like longer workouts and I've ever done, and I was trying to do them on my own. That was a bit of a challenge, but I kind of early on I kind of said, if I can run a 5K this year, I know I can run a big PB. So I kind of just started to reset and was like, okay, well, I don't have people helping me through my workouts right now, but every time it started to hurt, I would be like, well, this is for 14:59 because I just wanted to break 15 minutes. It's like, just keep grinding because this is for your 14:59. And then kind of as I started to get fitter, I just started moving that time a little bit faster. I would be like, okay, this is for 14:50. And then eventually I kind of thought I was in Australian record shape. So I was like, okay, well, this is for 14:46. And I never went any lower than that because it's like, if I ran 14:46, I've broken the Aussie record. And if I can do that in a year like this, like, if that's the best thing I do this year, that's the top of the cake. Like, I'll be very happy with that. So just kind of learning what worked for me solo again was kind of strange, but that was one that really worked. So when it got really difficult in hard sessions or a long run where I was really tired, it was just like, keep pushing because this is what it's for. So when you're with your teammates, I think you kind of spur off each other. And I think those kinds of things you don't need to say, okay, well, I'm training today because I want to break 4 minutes in the 1500. It kind of goes without saying when you're training with people, but when you're training alone, it's a really nice reminder as to why you're out there for that day.
Yeah, totally agree. That's a good way to keep yourself motivated.
Yeah.
I want to kind of touch on those Australian records. You have your 4-time Australian record holder in a few different distances. So
indoor and outdoor
1500 meter, and then the 3K and the 5K. When did you get those records? Like recently this year? Or?
Yeah, I got the indoor 1500 back in January, and then the outdoor 15, 3K, 5K this summer over in Europe. So it was, I think in a way I have like, because I'm 20, well, I was 23, I've turned 24 since, not having the Olympics was okay being so young because I was able to focus on just running fast. But like if I was further along in my career, it might have been a bit more different, but being able to kind of just be like, okay, well, this is my best chance this year to just go and chase records and try and run fast. I was able to reset the focus, whereas it might have been more difficult in an Olympic year when the Olympics are the top goal. You don't always get the chance to run fast. So I was able to just do that this year and go to the well every time that I got in a race.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're going to be competing in the Tokyo 2021 Olympics?
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. I've been selected in the 5K, but I need to wait on the 1500 still because we had our 5,000 meter national championship before COVID, but our 1500 was supposed to be end of March, so it got cancelled, and so I've got to wait until the same time next year to see if I can run the 1500.
Wow, congratulations. That's awesome. How happy were you when you heard the news?
Yeah, I was very happy. It was kind of a big relief too because we'd run the trial, but then COVID had hit, and it was like, well, does the trial count? Will it be the next year's trial that will like have us picked from? So there was a lot of questions around it. So when they decided to name us, it was like, okay, well, at least I know that no matter what happens in the next 12 months, I am going to be in Tokyo in 2021. So it's all for that. If we didn't race this summer, it was still like, well, the work I put in is still getting me ready for Olympics eventually.
How does the training split between I'm assuming the 5,000, the 1500 are your two, I guess, strong suits, we'll say right now. How do you split, like just curiosity, how does your training routine split from, okay, today I'm focusing on like a 5,000, like longer, and then you go back to like the 1500, like how does that like work? How does that, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think for Pete, especially, he really thinks they complement each other. Okay. So a lot of the work we do just overlaps pretty well. So especially now with the landscape of both the 15 and the 5 is they're running so fast in the 15 after rounds. So you kind of need to have that 5K strength to be fresh enough when the final comes. And then the same thing in the 5 is the last mile, 1200 meters is just so fast that you need to have the 1500 speed to be able to make it through the first round, and then to be able to be there at the bell in the final is it's a cut down kind of race. So they complement each other pretty well. I think this year, if anything, we did a lot more 5K strength side. The things probably training a lot in the 3K zone and didn't really do too much in the 1500 like race pace kind of workouts. But in saying that, like I was really surprised at how fast we could run in the 15 off the strength work. So it'll be interesting to see when we add in a bit more 1500 specific stuff, like what we can do over the 15 now that we have the extra endurance that we've built this year. So yeah, I think the workouts are pretty similar and they complement well. It's just how comfortable for flat pace feels in a 1500 when you haven't touched it too much in training. It's a bit different. I think that's the big difference, is being able to kind of, I think my PB race, I ran 64 seconds the whole way through. Basically, there was no up or down. So that was the best way for me to run a 15 this year, having not done too much like under that pace work in training. But in like the years to come, if we can do a little bit of stuff under for flat pace, you'll have gears at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's cool to know, like, that they do kind of overlap, but like some, like, it's cool that you're first of all in two different events.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then I want to kind of like dive a little deeper in the training aspect. What kind of exercises do you do for building both strength and endurance?
Yeah, so a lot of tempos. We kind of do tempo runs once every 10 days. And then a longer effort kind of track workout as well. And then my long runs are pretty solid as well. We do 2 workouts a week, so Tuesday, Friday. And then so Sunday I can still kind of get rolling pretty well in my long runs. And that definitely made a big difference in the aerobic strength this year, was being able to put together better tempos. Because in college we'd only done like 3-mile tempos and they weren't very fast. They were kind of like 5:45 pace. So to really change up what my tempo pace actually is and kind of stretch it out to about 5 miles, never further than 5, but between 4 and 5 every time, and doing a pretty solid long run, it really changed the way I was able to kind of adjust to the strength sessions.
Wow. That's sick.
That's sick. Yeah. That's really good, especially like for people listening to like know what an Olympian is doing to train. That's really knowledgeable, if that's the right word.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I guess leading on to that, what are your kind of like short-term and long-term goals? I know you got the 2021 Olympics coming up. A lot of people don't like to look past that and just want to focus right on that. But if you can give us some like goals past that or along the way, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so it's hard to kind of think what the next like 8-9 months leading in looks like, because we don't have a global calendar just yet. But hopefully I would like to have an indoor season of some kind. Hopefully I can get back to the US before that. I'm just waiting on my visa right now. So I think that's my biggest short-term goal, is to get that visa so I can come back and do some racing. But so yeah, just some racing. I definitely want to break 4 minutes in the 15 leading into the Olympics. I would love to do it at the New Hayward field, but it all depends on what things look like this year and where that falls in like the calendar before the Olympics. But yeah, then the Olympics, I definitely want to make the final in whichever event I'm doing, a 15 or the 5. And for 2022, when we go back to Hayward Field for World Champs, I would love to be able to double there in the 15 and the 5 if the program allows. So I think that's probably as long term as I've looked right now. But I know for Pete, he is building all my training around me being ready for Paris in 2024. Like that's how long term he's looking. But
awesome.
I haven't kind of looked beyond 2022 World Champs in Eugene just yet.
Yeah. It's good not to look that too far in advance. I think some people get caught up in the long-term goals and don't do the work to get there in short term.
Or enjoy the moment. That's a big thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You've got to enjoy it. It's so hard, so you've got to have fun with it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I read this, or I watched this video, and they said basically like when you're climbing up a mountain, you don't see anything other than like your feet ahead of you. But every once in a while, like you should stop and like look at the
back.
view and look back at the view and like why don't look too long, because then like you're not making any progress. But it's a cool analogy, because like when you're climbing a mountain, that's all you see is like your feet.
It's true. It is true.
Rocks.
And you don't realize how far you've come until you look back. But there's still quite a ways to go. Yeah, I like that.
It is. I knew you were going to say that too. Right when he said I have an analogy, I literally knew. He's like, he talks about it like every week, so it's good. No, I love it though.
All right. Well, on that note, any advice do you have any advice for young athletes and runners that kind of want to follow your footsteps?
Yeah, I would say you've just got to keep enjoying it. You find what you enjoy, whether that's running or swimming or working hard in the classroom. Like if you enjoy it, you're gonna want to do it. So and remember why you started it, and that's because you loved it, not because you had to or anything. So when there's days where it's like really hard to kind of get out the door, remember you get to do it. You don't have to do it. So yeah, all on you, really.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest for anything in life. The biggest thing, if you don't truly love what you're doing, you're not. I think it's a good correlation to success. Like I think the more you actually love what you do, I think the more success you will gain out of it, whether it's then it's just like a job and you just kind of do something just because you're more so feel forced. So I could not agree more. And to end it off, kind of the podcast as a whole, we like to do this fun little like speed round at the end. So we're going to ask you questions like bam, bam, bam in a row. Like it's like they're easy questions. It's just like opinion stuff. And then the last one is more so like a really like a deeper question. You can give like a reason and take your time to like think about it. Okay, so first thing that pops in the head, just bam, quick answer, okay?
Okay, got it.
Favorite food?
Bananas.
Okay.
Favorite cheat meal?
Favorite cheat meal, a burger and sweet potato fries.
Awesome. Biggest fear?
Snakes. I'm petrified of snakes.
That's a good one.
Are there a lot of snakes in Australia?
Not like around in general. I've probably seen maybe 3 or 4 on runs before, but I don't like them at all. They just creep me out.
Same. Celebrity crush?
Oh, probably the one that comes to mind is from like way back is Justin Bieber, but I think that's pretty standard for most.
He would be my celebrity crush too. I love Justin Bieber. He's awesome. Favorite clothing brand? Oh, this is probably a given.
Yeah, Nike.
Yeah.
Favorite artist?
Justin Bieber.
Like singer?
Yeah.
Artist? Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Biggest running myth in your opinion?
Oh, biggest running myth. Oh, I don't know. I guess I don't know. Running myth. What's a running myth?
Like something that like, people think about running, like.
But it's not true. Like some like.
Yeah, probably mileage. Like you know how people get caught up on mileage. Yep. Quality over quantity. Definitely not. Like don't fixate on the mileage number. Yeah.
It's like a solid one.
Very good one. If you could travel to one place in the world, where would it be and why?
I would love to go to the Maldives and stay in those like the huts on the water. Yeah. I think that would be so beautiful. Okay. Probably not the most runnable location, but it would be a fun holiday.
That would.
Relax.
Yeah, just no need to run the holiday. Just like lay there.
Swim maybe.
Yeah. Nice swim. And this is like the last question. So this is like you can take time, like think about it. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, dead or alive, and who would it be? I don't know. I would love to kind of talk to women from previous Australian generations in like track and field. So like Betty Cuthbert would be pretty cool. Kind of like pioneers along the way. But also just going back in like the history of my event, I would love to kind of sit down and talk to like Sarah Jamieson or previous Australian record holders and just
Yep.
see what life on the circuit was like for them, because like it was only 10, 12 years ago or so, but I feel like things have changed a lot. So it'd be cool to kind of compare stories.
Nice.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah,
I like that.
I like that. His would have been Justin Bieber.
Mine actually was. I actually did say Justin. Hey, yeah, I said Justin Bieber. That would be a good one though. I feel like Justin Bieber's a solid one because that guy, he's been through everything. You know, he's like since young, like he's been through everything. Like I would love to see like, hey man, like what's up? You know, just talk to him. I feel like he'd be a nice guy.
Yeah,
I think
it's pretty worldly. He's been around the world. He's seen it all.
I agree. I would have been Justin Bieber.
Awesome. Well, do you have anything that you want to shout out to whoever's listening?
No, I think I'm all good. Just keep doing what you guys are doing. It's pretty cool way to build the sport, is just chatting to people like this, nice and casually.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on. We're going to kind of end it off there, but we'll definitely stay in touch. We wish you the best of luck in the Tokyo 2021 Olympics.
Thank you.
And stay safe, stay healthy, and we're excited for you.
Thanks guys. Thanks for having me.
Have a great
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
You as well.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.